Hi, how's it going? This is Resin of Collarwood for YouTube, back with a video for you guys. This is my Halloween Ends review. This movie is very strange, and it starts off very strange too. So, Corey Cunningham, who's played by Rohan Campbell, is his character is babysitting a little boy. The parents are leaving. This is sort of, reminiscent of 1978, where Laurie's babysitting Tommy Doyle, and Annie Brackett's babysitting Lindsay Wallace. So the big difference, I would say the biggest difference, obviously, going into this movie is that this actually takes place, number one, in 2019, a full year after the events of Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. So no one has forgotten the attacks, but everybody still leaves their goddamn door unlocked, except for Laurie Strode, um, which is really weird. This to me is really weird. It's like, okay, we remember what happened last year, but everyone's just, let's move on. Oh my god. So here's what I find most interesting. Number one, I like the fact that Corey Cunningham is scared shitless of Michael Myers. Rohan Campbell, this is Rohan Campbell's movie, make no mistake, and he should have just received top billing, because as much as I don't like this movie, I will give him full credit. He carries this movie very, very well and does a superb job. Um, he gets put over in every way. I mean, this is what they did not do for Allison and in these movies, and it sucks. That part of it sucks, but this part of it, that the fact that they actually did put it up, someone else over for the majority of the movie, that part I liked. Okay, you use this character very well. The one thing I will say I'm most confused about with this beginning is, before I get into what happened with the kid, is there are other murders that occur in 2019. There's a shooting, and I love how Hawkins is a plainclothes police officer. He's a plainclothes detective, I should say, um, which is really good. I sort of wish they would have focused this on him a bit, because this involves crime. At least the beginning part of it does. They do focus on him, but and he does appear throughout the movie, but not, to me, consistent enough. I do wish. I feel Will Patton. You can tell this movie is letting you know this trilogy is over, and it does everything it can to let you know that's going to happen too, in my view. Now, with this, you have a shooting, and there's somebody shot, and someone said, was it Michael? And Hawkins says no, Michael doesn't carry guns. So here we have, a full year later, a shooting happens, a murder, and then a kill. Corey Cunningham kills the kid he's babysitting accidentally, and all people could focus on is Corey Cunningham. I felt that made no sense, and to me, it doesn't. It just does not make any lick of sense to focus on one person when you still have Michael Myers out there a full year later. That's where this movie deceives you. This doesn't just take place 4 years. This is not just a 4 year goddamn time jump. No, this takes place a full the start of this movie takes place in 2019. So you have two different periods when this time takes place. One in 2019, and then the other happens in 2022. So you have Corey, who's babysitting this kid. They're watching John Carpenter's Son. This is reminiscent to when Tommy Doyle and Lindsay Wallace were watching Howard Hawks, the thing. And yes, John Carpenter is a huge fan of Howard Hawks. That's partially the reason he did wanted to do the thing. So they're showing John Carpenter's The Thing, and Corey gets up to go get a drink. The kid is a jerk to him, but Corey comes back and the kid is gone. The lamp's knocked over. He looks around. He goes back. He goes outside. He looks downstairs, upstairs, down. Comes back downstairs. Looks in the kitchen. The knife's gone. You see a shadow on the wall. It's like, what's going on here? is Michael in the house? And the way Rohan Campbell plays this is beautifully. He does feel like Michael's in the house and he's scared. Like I said, Rohan Campbell did a great job. I'm taking nothing away from him because he did a good job carrying this movie. But at the same time, this movie does not feel like a Halloween movie. It more felt like a sequel to Christine, and that's my biggest issue with it too. And I'll get into that. Now, you hear the kid saying, "Corey, help me, Corey," and you sort of hear rumbling around, like something rumbling around, like somebody's like throwing him around. So I'm thinking, is Michael up there? That was my thought. I gotta admit, I was sort of thinking like, Corey, what, is Michael up there? Oh, Corey's like, oh, he's going up the steps. It's like, just leave. Nobody will know. The parents actually. So he's going up the steps. The knife that was on the cutting board is laying on the steps. Corey picks it up and walks up. The kid locks him in this sort of closet, and he's trying to kick the door open because the door is either locked or jammed. I can't really determine which. Corey's not strong enough to kick the door open. Here, this door is not even remotely budging when he's kicking it. The reason the kid gets killed is pretty simplistic, and I hated this because it was so laughable and unbelievable. First of all, I don't believe he's strong enough to kick that door open, and the door is evident of that. Two, the kid, it's too hard to tell where he is. That they did a good job with, because you can't tell how close or far away he is from the door. Corey kicks the door open, knocking the kid back off the banister and onto the floor, killing him. I'd rather, now here's the thing, Corey did have that knife. I'd rather them have the kid jump scare him like from above, and then Corey accidentally stabs the kid. That to me would have meant more than the silliness they did do. I did not love that. And again, something they don't do too, they don't come back to the other murders that happened in 2019. They just don't. It's just left there. Just take it as it is, which was stupid to me. So years go by. The town of Haddonfield, for whatever reason, is agitating Corey Cunningham. This is reminiscent of Jamie Lloyd being teased in Halloween 4, but to a much more extreme. Which to me is just like, it's so like, really. I feel they do this way too much through the film. I get they're trying to get their point across, but I feel if it weren't for Campbell Rohan selling the hell out of it, this would not have worked. I mean, he just does a really good job. The writing may be shit, but the acting isn't. And that's what I'll say. For once, an actor just said, you know what, I'm going to work my craft. And he did. Rohan Campbell will not get enough credit, in my view, for this movie right up front. And he damn well should. Though I don't love the concept, though I don't love what they did, I do love his performance, and it is good. It's really, really good. Now, let me get to you my biggest issue in this movie. Obviously, Laurie Strode has moved on, and so has Allison. So let me get this straight. We don't see Laurie in 2019. We don't see Laurie and Allison trying to hunt down Michael. They've moved on. Okay, Michael has taken a lot from them, and they've moved on. And here's the thing: part of the town has, and part of the town hasn't. And it's a lot of the victim. That's the survivors, who the woman who can't speak, who I think should just be dead. Um, they can't move on, which is interesting. That I like. Here's my biggest issue. The kid gets thrown off of a bridge. He falls. He gets dragged into the sewer by Michael Myers. Okay, this film's entire plot, this has been their plot from the beginning. This is what they're going to tell you. Well, according to Corey, if Laurie would have just looked into Michael's eyes and accepted what he had, she could have been doing this. Let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. Again, no film has tried to play revisionist more. No film has tried to play revisionist with the original more than this fucking trilogy. And I'm sorry, bull and shit. This is where I laughed. I rolled laughing because Michael Myers is not trying to pass essence to Annie, to Bob, to Linda, to Lori, to Dr. Loomis. By the way, Dr. Loomis, this film does forget about him, I think, when they say that line, because it's like Loomis spent 15 years looking at the kid. He looked into his eyes. He saw the darkness. He saw the evil. It didn't pass on to him. I think really, though this film does get into possession, and I'm not saying it doesn't, it certainly does. By the way, my favorite part is the tarot cards. Straight dark shadows. My favorite part is the tarot cards. But you see Michael grab Corey by the neck. And some of Michael's evil in essence is passing to Corey. Now, is Corey Michael Myers? No. There's Corey, unlike Michael, Corey talks. Corey actually does talk and speak throughout this movie, even though he is going to commit violent actions. The first real violent offense he commits to me, I'm not even going to count the homeless guy because the homeless guy is more in self-defense, is Dr. Matthews and the girl. But I think though too, the real murder that he causes or does is when he murders Dr. Matthews and he starts down that path and there's no going back, you could tell now Corey is a different person. My biggest issue with this movie, this whole trilogy, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, Michael Myers has not been after Laurie Strode. Now, miraculously, at the 11th hour of this fucking movie, now in this movie, all of a sudden, Michael Myers remembers Laurie Strode like it was yesterday and is now after her because he sees Corey outside the house. He's watching Corey and Laurie. It's like, now we're going to be after Laurie Strode finally after all this time. It's like, really? My biggest issue with their plot of this, they make no concerted effort to try to do this in 2018 or Kills. They don't try to make an effort that Michael's essence can be passed. They don't do that in 2018. They don't do, and if people are going to say Sartain, my issue with that is Sartain himself said he wanted to feel like what it was like to kill somebody. And then he stopped. He didn't try to, if he would have, instead of loading Michael into a car, had he jerked open that door and tried to murder Allison, then I'd say okay. But Hawkins' death more feels like he's protecting Michael than he is actually murdering Hawkins, and that's my biggest issue. Where Corey is actually murdering Dr. Matthews and the girl. I said I'm not going to count the homeless guy because that's in self-defense. I'm not. That was more self-defense to me. I got a question about the homeless guy too, which is weird. I'll get back to him though. Now, so Corey does fully commit cold-blooded murder, but again, there's been no premise set for this. Set for that. Oh, Michael's essence can always be passed. Well, can it really? I mean, we've never. That's one thing I'll call bullshit about this trilogy. It's asking you to believe the most ridiculous thing, that this has all been able to happen the whole time. And I'm sorry, I just don't buy it or believe it, and it's full of shit. This isn't a Halloween movie. This is a Christine sequel without the car. This really is. I mean, this is not a Halloween movie. They might as well not even have called it Halloween. They should have just called it Christine 2. Really, that's what they should have. This was Christine 2. You might as well say. And I mean, it is, even though it's well acted from, Rohan's point, I don't love it. It's not the kills are good. The kills are always going to be good, okay? But my biggest issue with this is there's been no precedent set prior They just introduced this character, Corey, in this movie, and there's been no precedent set for Michael being able to pass his essence. The only thing, again, the only thing you could possibly point to is those other murders that have been taking place. My issue with that is they don't follow up on those goddamn murders that happened in 2019. The dude getting shot, the person hung up in the tree. There's no follow through with that. So you can't really tell me that that's the case going on. Is it? I don't know. I don't believe it is because again, they don't make enough of an effort to follow through with it. It's just all about Corey and what he's going through. And I understand this is their focus, but you got to give me some more premise than just Corey here. Then Corey was the one. Okay, Michael dragged Corey into the sewer. And the guy questioned the homeless hobo, and here's my question, was like, why do you let you live? Why do you let you live? I sort of wonder now, is the homeless hobo supposed to be Dr. Loomis? I don't think it is, but it's sort of, I think it's just the actor who played him in the previous movie in the flashbacks. But the character does sort of look like Dr. Loomis a bit, as weird as that sounds. Now, that's my question. What do I give this movie after the end? Michael, by the way, Michael dies at the end. He gets put in the crusher, the car destroyer, and yeah, he gets put to pieces. What do I think about this movie? 4 out of 10. It's more of an emotional movie than anything else. And, it's asking you to believe the most ridiculous thing. Don't get me wrong, I love the movie Christine, but two separate entities should not be just thrown together at the 11th hour because you had no real story to begin with. And that's what Halloween Ends feels like. That's what the entire premise of the movie feels like from Corey's point of view. This is just one thrown together premise so they can cover their ass because they had nothing to from the start. They did not introduce this kind of thing in 2018. They did not introduce this in Kills. And they damn sure John Carpenter did not introduce this in his movie. So it's just laughable and it's not even worth watching. I've watched it once and I'm not going to watch it again. Um, I will review it a second time. I told Daniel and Mark we would review it on Monday, so we will. We'll all three come back Monday. This is just my individual take. What do I hope they do with the Halloween franchise after this? I've said take it to television and obviously make Michael Fort. Make it about a multitude of characters and how they all deal with the struggle of Michael Myers. That's something you should do. Or the idea of him being out there. Do people still care? Yes, no. What's indifferent about it? That's something they should definitely get into. And build the horror, build the tensity. All right, that is my review of Halloween Ends, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on this movie. Rohan Campbell does deserve an applause, and he did do a great job trying to carry this movie. But I think to pull this off at the 11th hour and say, "Oh, this has been the thing all along," is just the most laughable bullshit I've ever heard in my life. It really is. Let me give you a premise. The Thorn was introduced in Halloween 5, followed through on Halloween 6. There's no that therefore there was a premise set, right? Okay, there's no premise set for Corey. None. It doesn't matter if you know what Christine is or not. Yes, I do know what that movie is, and here's the biggest issue. This isn't Christine. And that's what I'll say. I don't give a shit what his last name is. Corey Cunningham. I don't care. Yes, I know the kid's last name of Christine was Cunningham. Oh my God, big deal. Um, but yeah, 4 out of 10. I did not love this movie. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Have a great day.